Hi, this is Islamic Dad here. If you enjoyed this channel and find it useful, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. I'm going to do a video today on something I'm actually surprised that I haven't done one on yet, and that is the issue of apologies. And along with that, kind of accountability, taking responsibility. So I'll just dive in. One of the issues with the narcissist, and at least for me, this is like the easiest red flag to identify. If you meet somebody and maybe you're dating and you come across this, it just screams narcissist. And that is the odd fact that they just will not apologize. Whereas most people would say they do something by accident, innocuous, not a big deal, but say you're at a restaurant and the waiter brings your food and they put down the plates in the wrong setting, and the narcissist starts eating your food, before the two of you realize what had happened. A normal person would just say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that this was, what you had ordered, let's switch. And oddly enough, I don't think a narcissist would apologize. And that's one of the things that makes this so odd to me, is that it's not like it's even an issue of them having done something on purpose or with intent. It's simply the very act of apologizing is something that they just, dread and avoid at all costs. Now, my ex-wife, was a malignant narcissist, and there was just simply nonstop conflict, and she would just do horrible things, and just either double down or change the topic. And so, this issue never really came up enough to even be something that I could identify and focus on, because there was so much other insanity that was going on at the time with her that I was just preoccupied with putting out fires, so to speak. Whereas my covert narcissist, it was a little bit different, because it was something that I noticed very early on, even through the love bombing honeymoon phase. But it just kind of made me scratch my head. And honestly, I don't know if it was at the tail end of that period or more at the beginning of the very long, slow discard phase, or devalue phase, I guess, that I noticed this enough that I actually brought it up to her, because it bothered me. And I asked her, I just flat out said, why do you never apologize for anything? And I gave the example, like, if I had, like, say, a glass of water on the ground and we were just hanging out and she didn't notice it and she accidentally knocked it over while she was walking to the kitchen or something, I said most people would say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, and then clean it up and then offer to get me a new glass of water. I said that's just kind of like a social norm. And I said, but I don't think she would. And she said, she agreed. She said, no, I wouldn't apologize because I didn't do anything wrong. And I said, well, no, it's not that you intended to do it. It's just simply letting me know that, you empathize with that happening. And even though you didn't intend to do it, it was still your actions that did it, and that you're responsible for your actions and you're responsible for the consequences of your actions, whether you intended them or not. And she doubled down. She was like, no, this is an argument. And she was just, if I don't intend to do harm to a person, there is no reason for me to apologize. And I just said, no, that's not how that works. I mean, you should apologize if you intend it, but you should also apologize if the consequences of your actions cause something to happen. And she just said no. And, things went on, and there was an incident where I was, friends with one of, a woman that I had dated previously, but at that time we were just strictly friends. And again, like my covert narcissist ex-girlfriend was funny because she had a jillion male friends and said, oh yeah, this is, it's normal and stuff. So I had like this one female friend, and she was horribly jealous and didn't do a good job of hiding it at all. And when, something came up, there was like a disagreement between us. My ex-girlfriend said, oh yeah, why don't you call up your, female friend, since, she's so perfect and blah, blah, blah. And, and I just kind of stopped and I said, that's not okay. That's not cool. You don't know her, and it's, she has nothing to do with this situation, and it's not okay for you to bring that up. Like, that's very childish and immature. And at the time, she just changed the topic and started talking about something else. But then, like a couple days later, I think I brought it up, and I think it was a very interesting conversation, because I said, look, we've been together for a year, and I don't think you've apologized for anything once. And it's not like you did anything horrendous. I'm just saying, like, in the course of that year, lots of things happen back and forth between us. And I have no problem apologizing if I, do something that later causes, trouble, or the consequences of my actions impact you. And she, kind of gritted her teeth almost, got a tense jaw and said, well, I'm sorry that I said that thing about your, female friend. And I said, I appreciate you saying that. And you could tell it was like she was boiling inside. I mean, she was, she apologized, but she was furious. I mean, she was just seething with anger that she had apologized. And honestly, within the course of 4 years that we were together, I think she apologized maybe twice. And again, especially with a covert narcissist, kind of switching a little bit. Narcissists do not take responsibility or accountability for anything they do directly on purpose, for anything they do that it impacts themselves negatively later on, anything that impacts other people, or any consequences of their actions that may impact themselves or others down the line. They do not take any accountability or responsibility or ownership for any of that. And in fact, the covert narcissist will actually take it a step further, where they might do something like slack off at work, maybe, do something that impacts someone else at work negatively, maybe their manager, and maybe they get, you know, demoted or passed for a promotion, or even laid off because of, something that they had done. They will use that then, to try to get sympathy. They'll say, I can't believe that, you know, that I got passed for that promotion. That's horrible. I'm the victim here. My manager has it out for me. I don't know why my manager hates me. They're really vindictive, and like I don't know what their deal is, and they're taking their stress and frustration out on me, and it's just not fair. It's just not fair. And they will just go on and on and on and use that to try to get sympathy. And that's just one example. Like, they will do that for everything in their life. Like, they will, this is an extreme example, but they might forget or just decide not to pay their electric bill for 6 months. And then when the power gets turned off, scream and cry and complain about how they're the victim. And it's like, well, you didn't pay the electric bill for 6 months. That is the consequence of your inaction. And they will, they'll say, no, the electric company has it out for me. And I can't believe that this happened to me. I can't help it. It's not my fault. They didn't send reminders to me. It's their responsibility to call me up and give me warnings and get a hold of me and, alert me in the mail and stuff, which they probably did anyways. But just, again, I'm just trying to like really hammer home the not taking accountability, not taking ownership, and then flipping that around as a way to garner sympathy from, their supply is pervasive across every aspect of their entire life. Every single thing that happens in their life, most of which is either because of their actions or consequences, they will, focus the blame outward on someone or something else, and then paint themselves as the victim. And so, it's really weird. I mean, taking this even another step, further, with the covert narcissist, in doing this, they can delude themselves and try to delude others into thinking that they are perfect. If nothing is ever their fault and they are right, and, I guess, I can't think of the word, but, have these great, values that they embody in life, and that's how they go out into the world, they're basically presenting themselves as perfect. And, I don't know what goes on in the head of a narcissist, but I think that could very well be it, where they, even though they're this perpetual victim, they're also simultaneously thinking, I'm perfect. I do nothing wrong. Therefore, I'm perfect. And, it's very, very strange, very bizarre. So, but, coming back to, where I started, it's just, simply, I think that the easiest way to identify a narcissist is to just watch for them and see if they ever apologize for anything, whether it's something small, whether it's something big, just anything. And if they don't apologize, maybe look a little bit closer and see if they even take ownership and accountability of what's happening. And if they don't ever apologize and nothing's ever, if they don't own anything, then I think you've got a narcissist on your hands. And I think that that's something that you can, I would guess maybe see in people, like say you're dating, within a couple of months. I think, I mean, an easy one, like, oh, say they, cancel a date at the last minute, or they, forget their credit card, so they can't pay for dinner when they had promised that they were going to, or, split things 50-50, et cetera, et cetera. It just, goes on and on. But if they just simply never apologize and then act like there's no problem, I think that's a big red flag. So yeah, I just, I don't know why I hadn't touched on this subject before, but I thought it'd be good to do, a video on the issue of how, a defining characteristic of the narcissist is that they never apologize and they never take ownership and accountability for their actions or the consequences of their actions. So hopefully this video's been helpful. Thanks.